Hi, I'm Barry Duncan, and I'm here to tell you about the good, bad, and ugly of psychotherapy. First, the good news. The good news is that psychotherapy works. The average treated person is better off than 80% of the untreated sample. Now, that doesn't mean that psychotherapy is 80% effective. Rather, it means that the average treated person, if you select that person from the treatment group, they're better off than 80% of this untreated sample. And the good news continues, and that is that these findings in randomized clinical trials have been generalized to effectiveness studies in the real world. So it looks like psychotherapy as practiced is also quite effective. Now the bad news, actually it's twofold. First, dropouts are a huge problem in the delivery of psychotherapy services. An average dropout rate is about 47% in most clinical settings, even higher in substance abuse settings, and even higher with youth and family treatments. So 47% dropouts, makes a hard rain fall on the efficacy parade of psychotherapy when you add those to the mix, whether or not people complete the services that are rendered to them. And psychotherapists vary quite significantly in terms of their effectiveness. Some therapists do pretty well while others don't do so well. And in fact, therapists account for a large portion of outcome variance, second only to what clients bring to the process. To bring that concept home a little bit, let's look at the psychiatrists and the TDCRP, the Treatment of Depression Collaborative Research Project that we're often talking about. The top third most effective psychiatrist in that study, giving placebo, bested the results of the bottom third most effective psychiatrists giving the actual antidepressants. Think about that for a second. Who the psychiatrist was far more important than whether they were giving a sugar pill or an actual antidepressant. And that holds true among psychotherapists as well. It matters who the therapist is far more than what treatment they happen to be administering. And the ugly? Gosh, first of all, that translates to a 20 to 70% effectiveness rates in the real world. So who would you rather go to? The person who is effective 1 in 5 times, or the person who is effective 7 out of 10 times? Kind of a no-brainer, right? And we don't even know how effective we really are. Therapists don't know. In the absence of reliable feedback, how could they possibly know how effective they are? So we tend to think the best about our work. Dew and Reimers did a very clever study where they looked at many therapists of different orientation, and they asked them to grade their performance, their effectiveness, on an A+ to F scale. And you know what? 66% of the therapists rated themselves A or better. Think about that for a second. If you know anything about the bell curve, that can't possibly be true. Not one single therapist rated themselves below average. But we can't blame them. In the absence of reliable feedback about effectiveness, we're going to think the best about our work and not pay attention to the people who don't benefit, who drop out of services. The bottom line, despite overall efficacy and effectiveness, dropouts are a problem. Many people don't benefit. Therapists don't know how effective they really are. But there's a solution to all these problems, and that solution is practice-based evidence, or the notion of collecting feedback from clients about the benefit of services while we're seeing them so that we can do something different if they're not benefiting. This idea was first thought up back in 1996 by Ken Howard and his colleagues. Great idea. They could go in, measure outcomes, find out whether people aren't benefiting so that you can get supervision or do something else for those clients. That idea has been taken and applied in a very creative way by Michael Lampert and his colleagues. In fact, they've done the most research about the effects of collecting systematic feedback from clients while they're actually getting services. And here's what Lampert has found in 5 randomized clinical trials. First of all, you have to understand that all of us have a portion of clients who don't benefit from our services. And that typically could be anywhere between 30% of clients, if you're la creme de la creme, to a lot higher, even up to 70%. So let's just take for the sake of argument that we're all la creme de la cremers and 30% of our clients don't benefit. 22% of that pool of non-benefiting clients will go on to ultimately benefit from our services. But if we add feedback to the mix, we get feedback about outcome to the therapist, that proportion will raise to 33%, If we give it to client and therapist, it'll raise to 39%. And if we add alliance feedback or other support tools to the mix, we'll increase that percentage of clients who benefit to 45% of that non-benefiting group. Doubling your effectiveness with those clients who aren't benefiting from your service. Think about your clients right now. Think about the clients who aren't benefiting. This would allow you to recapture almost half of those clients who aren't benefiting. And we've gotten into the randomized clinical trial business too. We just completed a huge Norway study of feedback that looked at couples. It was just published in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology in 2009. Check out the website. You can download that article if you'd like to take a look at it. In that study, we found similar things to Lampert's studies. We found, first of all, that 4 times more folks achieved clinically significant change in the feedback condition than the treatment as usual condition. It doubled overall effectiveness, and the great thing also that happened on 6-month follow-up, couples in the feedback group achieved nearly a 50% less divorce and separation rate. Quite a big change in that study due to the effects of feedback. Also, an independent study by Jeff Reese at the University of Kentucky confirmed our results, making it 2 independent randomized clinical trials that show the benefits of feedback using the ORS and the SRS. And in that study, he found, again, clients received twice the benefit in feedback than treatment as usual. And he found, like the Norway study, an effect for all clients, just not the clients at risk. The thing that blew me away about the Norway study is that 9 out of 10 therapists benefited from the effects of feedback. 9 out of 10 therapists benefited from feedback. And a therapist from the low-tier effectiveness group without feedback became the best therapist in the study with feedback, which offers a lot of hope for all of us that we can improve our effectiveness with adding feedback to our work. So feedback addresses all the problems I brought up in the good, bad, and ugly of psychotherapy. You know, first of all, it partners with consumers in a very direct way to make them true valued partners in the psychotherapy process, and it addresses dropouts and negative outcomes by providing an early warning system so we can find out who those folks are and do something different with them. Thanks a lot. Hope to see you back on the website soon.